Hello, Scott Paradis here. Great to be with you again. I'm continuing my series on the book that I'm working on called The Money Game. Now, I've moved on to other sections, and what I wanted to do today was to present you with an idea and get your feedback, get your thoughts about this. What I have termed the duality paradox. You can say there are a lot of things in our reality that have dual nature. It's a dualistic reality. So what I mean by that is we have polar opposites or extremes. We have light and we have darkness. We have what we call up and then what we would call down. We have left, we have right. We have what we judge to be good or bad, right or wrong. And what I'm doing is saying that these are polar opposites. We have what we see as one extreme, in this case, if our judgment is good, and on the other extreme, bad. On one extreme, right, on the other extreme, wrong. You see this dual nature of our reality. It is what gives us this contrast that makes this experience so rich. The dual nature that I want to unpack is this idea of motivation and the motivation for playing the money game. So I'm going to use a word. Now, you could use a different word, but I'm going to use the word control. Why control? Because control is our go-to strategy for gaining an advantage when things are not going the way that we would prefer them to go. If only I had control of the circumstances. If only I had control of the environment. If only my children would do what I ask them to do, what I tell them to do. If only my dog would respond to my commands, do what I tell him to do. If only my spouse, my coworkers, my colleagues, my suppliers, if only the people out there would do what I know to be right and correct, to do what I tell them to do. If only I had absolute control, then all would be right with the world. This is our go-to response when things aren't going as we had hoped, as we prefer. If we had control, that's what I want. Control, then all will be right. Now I'm going to contrast control with another word. Now you could use different terms for this, but you'll understand why I'm drawing this contrast. The word I've chosen is responsibility. So on one hand, we want absolute control. On the other hand, we hate responsibility. We run from responsibility. We don't want responsibility because we see responsibility as a weight, as a burden, as a force holding us back. Those are polar opposites. We have absolute control is what we seek, and responsibility is what we seek to avoid at all costs. Now, I've painted this as a duality. Duality is not binary, however. It is not either or, one or the other. All of these things operate on a spectrum. A spectrum, that is those shades of gray that take you from one extreme to the other. So for this motivation in the money game, if only I had control, then the outcome would be better for me. But responsibility is something that I shun, that I don't want to be weighted down by. The paradox comes in all of these dualities. If you realize that this either or, this far end of each spectrum, the polar opposite, if you follow that spectrum all the way out to its conclusion, then we end up in a circumstance that brings us full circle. So in my instance that I'm using, my example that I'm using here, we have control on one end of the spectrum, we have responsibility on the other. If we follow that line, we will come to realize that it wraps around in back to itself, and we are, in fact, whole again. Responsibility and control are two different aspects of the same thing. You can't have one without the other. They are two sides of the same coin. In fact, you can look at the dual nature of all things as just being component parts of a broader whole. It's all one. So if you want control, you must take responsibility. If you want control for your life, you must take responsibility for your life. If things are out of control, take responsibility. By taking responsibility, you are taking control. You can't have one without the other. If you are seeking control and shunning responsibility, you're going to be in a state of chaos. And that's the way it works in the money game. Everybody's seeking control. They're seeking power. They're seeking dominance. But very few are seeking responsibility. And then we have chaos in the game. This is how it works. Do you see the paradox? Do you see this paradox of control and responsibility? By bringing them together and having both, then that's when we get control of the game. We begin to get an outcome that we recognize as beneficial for us. Now, I'm going to leave you with one additional thought. There is a better strategy. The better strategy, our go-to strategy is to gain control. To gain control, we have to gain responsibility. Responsibility, though, we look at as a weight, as a burden, as a force holding us back. There's a better way. The better way is to not judge the outcome, to step back, let go. Just let go. Everything we see out there has already happened. Our judging it does not help us. We are better served by letting it go. Just let it go. Let it go. Experience it. Experience it. Use the emotions that you experience from taking in that energy of whatever it is you encounter. Let that energy flow through you. In other words, embrace the emotion, but then let it go. Let it go. Let the emotion go. Let the judgment go. And I guarantee your life will be better. Your gameplay will be better. All will be better. What do you think? My duality paradox. Share your thoughts. Share this video. Let me know what you think. And I look forward to seeing you again.